Okay, so basically, I just want to talk about my story because, I don't want to write it all, I want to talk about it because just so that it's on record that, when I was thinking about these things, in the future, because I'm going to write this and probably become a writer, an actor and in the cinematography industry. But I'm just going to talk about, just the final season. Over the next weeks, I probably might in my free time say the whole story, but this is season 7. We'll just call it season 7. It's the final season. So basically, at this point in the story, so Jack and his crew, which consists of the Half Bloods and the Revengers. So you have characters on the Half Blood side of it. You've got, what's his name? So you've got Jack, of course. He's he has Captain Marvel powers, kind of, but not really. I guess. I don't know. He kind of, yeah, just pretty much. You've got Toad, who's pretty much just Toad from X-Men. You've got Alan, who's kind of the gladiator of the team, and then you've got Nadia, who can teleport. You've also got Rover, who's pretty much just Rover from the last Kids on Earth. You got Remy, who's basically he's just really durable and he can break his body and use that to his advantage. You've got Dionysus or Dion, who can control plant matter. Who else? Oh, you've got Derek, who's the demigod, son of Hades. And I guess Nico. Yeah, we'll just put him in there. And Scream, who's basically just Scream from the Venom comics. I think that's all. Oh, and Percy Jackson. And then on the Revengers side, you have Shell Shock, who's his powers is that he has this turtle spirit, which gives him powers. So basically, his shell can it's kind of like a shockwave from his shell. So he goes Shell Shock, and then bursts. It's kind of like Havoc from X-Men. That's kind of his powers. Um, who else? Uh, mm, I guess Scorpion. Okay. Anyways, so basically, we'll call them the Revengers or Recorp because that's the combined forces of the Revengers and Half Bloods. It's called Recorp. So basically, after they've defeated all the bad demons who had Prodigy's power, because remember, Prodigy's the one who created this planet, that from all these people, right? And throughout the show, we've always had all these different stories, different mini stories happening on this big planet, it's a war planet. And sometimes they did cross over, but now this is a full crossover. So basically, Recorp, after they defeated the demons, which means pretty much no one can be revived. No, they kind of get everyone on the planet is disconnected from the soul world, so no one can get revived, and it's you die, you're dead for good. And because when Prodigy was killed by the demons, because demons took her power, and it had a shockwave across the world, and everyone kind of knew okay, yep, we can just kill them and they'll be dead forever. So a lot of war was happening. I mean, always war is going on, but this is really bad because now no one's coming back. No, and more people aren't coming out out of the planet to fight, you know. So Recorp goes back to Romulus, right? And Romulus is kind of because they were Romulus, they were, he had his whole crew, and they're okay, stay here. We're gonna, or no, they didn't say stay here, but before they went to go defeat the demons, Recorp, they lost Romulus, and he's like he got, and so eventually Recorp, like, they reunite with him. They're like, oh, like it's you, like, because they're kind of like trying to figure out where he is after they defeated the demons, and then they eventually find him, and it turns out he's built like this whole community of like a bunch of people, and you have like Propeller, you've got Slingshot, um, who else is in there? Uh, oh, you have Racket, who basically, like, he's just a racket. He just like as a stick, but he's a racket, and he can like anything, like any small object, he'll like hit it at you, and that's kind of his power. Um, and Slingshot is like he'll throw like anyone into battle. Like he can throw anyone into battle basically. So you have that crew with Romulus. Romulus is pretty much just like a spike stick. Like that's his stick. It's just like like it has spikes on it, so it's like a clubber. Um, and then you have, so yeah. So basically, Recorp's like, "Oh, you're still alive." And he's like, "Yeah, like, but there's like this evil. There's this guy who like is enforcing people. Like, there's this guy who says like, oh, like, you know, like our world is gonna, like, we all need to be under one kingdom." And like, well, I mean, even though he's like killing people, he's doing it like, no, he's not even okay. So we have Recorp, right? And the leader is Jack. You've got Romulus, who has this whole community of people, and basically Romulus is saying like, oh, like, yeah, Recorp, like, we're trying to protect our people, like we're just trying to stay alive, because there's this evil guy out there. And Recorp goes, whoa, who is he? And Romulus says, oh, well, I mean, he kills people. Like he tries to there's, okay, so the tyrant is called Whiteout. There's this new villain. Basically, he goes around to clans and he says, are you going to join my clan? They say no. And basically, Whiteout's whole motive is that the world, like his clan, Whiteout's clan is a clan that was raised in this world. Like they were born here. That was their whole kind of motive. Is like, because, so basically, before Prodigy died, a lot of people were separated from each other. Like there was huge territories just separated, and in some territories were I mean, they were probably attacked a couple times, but other than that, Whiteouts is basically like people who were like had children, because not many people have children in this world. It's so hard to have children on Battle World. We'll call it Battle World, but they did, and so Whiteout and all of his people are the kind of the cause of that. Like, and it's a huge group too. Like they're just built different. Like because there's the way their sticks are. It's like they have like balls on like parts of the sticks, so it's like they're kind of built like an arm. Like it's literally armor, so they're super strong, and that's kind of like one of the problems. But anyways, so Whiteout, yeah, his motive is just like this world is kind of theirs, and like Whiteout thinks that they were meant to stay on this planet, because he knows that Prodigy's power's out there, but he also knows like he doesn't want anyone getting like any ideas trying to leave the planet, because he thinks that it was a divine, like the reason that he thinks that everything that happened, being on the planet is a good thing, and that no one should leave it because they're meant to be on the planet. They're not meant to go anywhere else. And so like he thinks it's a divine purpose from like God, basically. He thinks that. So that's kind of his motive. He has a bunch of random people, like a lot of people who have kind of different powers. Like you have Arachnid. She's just pretty much Arachnid from Transformers. You have Reacher, who's like just super tall and like has long arms and can like reach. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just a big stick. You've got Gladiator, who's pretty much like just like super strong. He's just kind of super strong. And a fun fact about this clan is actually Apex is kind of the same clan. Like it's the same kind of group of people that Apex came from. And we've talked about Apex at the time of this. By the time you get to this point in the story, you know that Apex was this guy who got like, he was just he was like a freak, basically. Like, so in his clan, He was born, but he was just super weird. Like he was just a psychopath. But he was also super huge and built like he was pretty much built like um pretty much like Beast, but if Beast was like super huge, like Beast from X-Men, he's like that, but if he was super huge and he would like attack people and like sometimes kill people, and so they just outcasted him. And so this is the clan that's from. But I mean, obviously they're not crazy. These people aren't like monsters like I mean literally they're not literally monsters like Apex was. Um but yeah, so they're not monsters like Apex was. So anyways, Whiteout is if he goes to people and he says, "Are you going to be a part of my clan? Like we need to be one kingdom because this world." And so if they don't, and usually like he's like, "Okay, if you're not with me, you are against me. Like I don't want you to be a threat. I'm just going to kill you." And then if like he kills some of them, and then if some of them are like, "No, no, no, okay, we surrender." He's like, "All right, just join me." Yeah. So, and also there's kind of like not really a side story. It kind of is. It would be like a in between comics thing. Okay. Anyways, there is a point where he does kill. Whiteout does kill this like one guy who's basically just a whip. It's just as simple as, and the guy's name was Whiplash. But basically, Whiteout is like he's just like he is just a powerhouse. He's pretty much just he's just an orangutan, pretty much. That's what Whiteout is. He's pretty much. I took inspiration from Scar King from Kong, Godzilla versus Kong. That's kind of what he is, but I mean different motives, obviously. But he's like red, and he's like built like a the stick was built like a gorilla. So anyways, after Whiteout kills, because this is just important because this is like one of his main power sets. He kills Whiplash and he uses Whiplash's body as part of him. So like at the end of Whiteout's stick is just a whip. So he uses that as a whip. And it's also kind of electrically charged because he's also kind of all that whole his Whiteout's clan, why the Whiteout clan is all like they build technology to use in battle, which I mean which just adds to their strength, like how they're built, like their armor. So anyways, that's his motive. And Romulus kind of was like, no, he tried to build like a rebellion, but yeah. But here's the thing, I'm just gonna say it now because it's not even, we just need to know now. I'm not gonna build it up. You could just skip over this part if you don't want to, probably for the next like 5 minutes. Okay, so basically Romulus is also a bad person, because while Recorp was defeating all the demons and stopping them from taking over the world, Romulus and Whiteout, it gave them time to rise and take charge. So Whiteout is all about, we stay here, this is what we do. And obviously this was going to happen eventually. There'd be differing philosophies and people would die more, but they wouldn't come back. So basically you have Whiteout's philosophy. We'd already gone over it. He wants people to stay on the world. He thinks it's their divine purpose. And Romulus, we know from his character, from his past on this world, he has lost so much. And because of that loss, he thinks that they need to leave the planet and go and find the people who created Prodigy. Like, because Prodigy's just like she's just an inventor. She's kind of just an inventor, kind of. Like, she's so small in in the aspect of like, so basically Romulus thinks, because Romulus is kind of, I'm pretty sure he's the son of Ares. He has, yes, he is. And it's kind of in his nature to, it was this thing, I didn't really go over it that much with when I like at the beginning of his character, because I wasn't thinking about it much. But something that I would think about like doing it a second time is that he always kind of has this taste for blood. And if something can help him fuel that taste for war, then he's a powerhouse. Like, he's a danger. So basically, you have Whiteout. Whiteout's going, we need to stay here. It's our divine purpose. Like, creators made us this way. But Romulus goes, no, we actually need to use this planet and like we need to use the planet and basically like just kill the people who put us here. Now, you're probably wondering, how is he going to do that? How are they going to control the world? Well, okay. A couple seasons ago, there was this character named the Perfect Man, and basically he was there was these Leaf guys who, they came in through this wormhole onto Battle World, and they basically found a bunch of like, because they kind of like, so Daedalus also might have, this is cool because I'm thinking about this now and I'm like, oh, these things could be connected. So basically, and I'm explaining this because it helps give motive to Romulus. So, all right. So something you gotta know is that when I travel the sticks from different places to place, they kind of are in this like transportation stasis, and if they get knocked out of it, it's kind of like it's all over the world too. It's kind of like a labyrinth, but it is kind of transportation. It's almost like a bus, but it can go all around the world, and there's multiple buses, I would say. I'm actually thinking about this because like I never really thought about, okay, how do I get from place to place, and this would be cool. Okay, so basically, a long time ago, when this world was created, there was a person named Daedalus, and basically Daedalus, we know him from Greek mythology. He was an inventor. So like he did in the mythos from his world, he created the labyrinth in his world. He did it here on Battle World, but over time, the Earth was overgrown because he kind of got too decrepit. Like he started getting old and he couldn't take care of his labyrinth that he built on the world, so it kind of was getting like overgrown, and still parts of it function, but basically he actually did kind of, there were multiple people who like kind of built okay, we could say Daedalus built this, but we could also say many other people did. So basically, I'm thinking about this right now because when I first did the season, I wasn't really thinking about, okay, how does this machine work where it can make the world into this like, I was thinking of many reasons why like all of a sudden in the final season there's just this like station where you can control the world. I had many theories. This is another one. Just bear with me here. So what if when Daedalus made this labyrinth, he basically made it into, and it kind of like it was making itself almost, right? Like what if he made it, but when he made it, because let's say like it's kind of almost like an automobile, like, or autopilot kind of, like he was controlling this thing that he was making, but like when he got too decrepit, it kind of was working on itself. And so what if like when Daedalus made this, it kind of went on autopilot, and so it kind of like made the world into like this kind of spaceship, like a huge spaceship though. So but like again, the files got overgrown, and then later on in the timeline, you have these Leaves who rediscover it, and they become like inventors themselves, and like they invent like machines like to help defend themselves so that they can survive on the planet. And then all of a sudden there's this guy, the Perfect Man. Now the Perfect Man is dead. No, he's not dead. He dies in the final season. We'll get to him. This is just kind of backstory. Okay, so now we know in this timeline you have Daedalus is put on the world. He's like, okay, I'm gonna invent stuff like, for transportation, so I can like just explore this world. And then he gets really decrepit, and then like he kind of almost dies, and he's a machine himself. Kind of, he starts building things on himself, and eventually, he just kind of lets the machine, like we'll call it the labyrinth. He just lets the labyrinth take over. He lets it go on autopilot, and it just starts making the world into a spaceship. And then later on, like the world kind of overgrows over the labyrinth, and then the inventors come along and they invent things and to help themselves, and they have these files of the space of the station where you can control it, like pretty much the main like place. We're not really gonna focus on Daedalus anymore because oh my gosh, I can't wait to make a whole timeline of this. This is gonna be cool. Okay, so anyways, these inventors, they have the information on this, but they're not really like sure about it. Like they're still trying to decode it, and they kind of do, but they don't. And then there comes this guy, the perfect man, and he's like, oh, you guys know about this? Oh, well, I'm gonna take that, and I want to be able to travel. I want to know everything about this world. He's kind of like Daedalus, but not really. He's just like, I have my own motive. Like, I want to be at the top. I want to know everything that there is to know. So he's kind of like this knowledge, this guy who's like, just really like wants knowledge. Because like obviously, if you're stuck on the planet for really long, you're probably gonna want to figure out what is going on the planet, you know. So, anyways, Perfect Man comes along. He's like, I want that information that you inventors found, and they're like, no. And so they kind of, and they hide all the information in this like, um, in what? They hide the information in like this box of all these tools that they have, because the perfect man and his army start attacking them like for the information, because like he wants it for himself. Like he knows that these inventors, they probably aren't gonna let him take it, but he's like, all right, I'll have to take it by force. So eventually he does overpower them, and then he takes this. There's a machine. There's all these different gadgets with the box, but the also remember the information for where the, like kind of the map to where the station of controlling the world is. So basically, it's hidden in that box, and so the perfect man eventually gets it, and then he time travels. He wait or no, he doesn't time travel. The perfect man, he gets it, and then he like teleports. But like he doesn't. But they kind of stop him because they like find a way to like mess up whatever happens with this gadget. And so he's like, wait, no, and like so we never see him again after this until the final season. This is why. So basically, when they messed with him, like it messed up whatever teleportation thing was happening, and so when he he like just disappears. He's like this, and like he just basically teleports in like an explosion. But he ends up in kind of this. Okay, so he ends up in kind of like a not a negative zone, but he kind of just ends up on like this like these tunnels underground, and he's like, where am I? And then every now and then, like the perfect man, like he's by himself too. He lost his whole army, so he's like going. He's like, what happened to me? Like I'm in these tunnels, like, and then every now and then he'll see like these trains go by, like not trains, but there's some sort of transportation thing, and he's like, it's really dark. And he's like, what is happening? But all he has is like this box of information he's holding on to, and it's almost like ironic because it's symbolism, because when you think about it, you're going, oh, it's his hubris got the best of him. He wanted all this technology, but he couldn't. It was used against him, kind of like, you know. So he's just walking around with this box of gadgets. Remember, the box still has the map to the control station. Controls the world. And then, he meets a lot of people. Every now and then, and they kind of he tries to group together with these different people who have like different stories. Like, oh, I was with this one group. None of the people he meets are people that we like are from. I mean, maybe, I don't know. He just meets a bunch of people. Let's just say that. And eventually, and then so he's still on these like tunnels. So then we have way into the future. This is right before the battle with the demons. And so the remember Recorp, they're with Romulus, and Romulus they start getting attacked by demons, and Romulus gets knocked off the train. This transport, we'll just call it the train. He gets knocked off the train, and he ends up in the tunnels. And so Recorp goes on. They're like, oh no, we lost him. But then they go continue on and they fight. And then Perfect Man runs into Romulus. And so basically what happens is Romulus is like, oh, like, how do we get out of here? And they're like, we don't know. Like, he's like, oh, okay, well, we were about to go fight them. Like, maybe they'll come back for me. And then Perfect Man's like, oh, okay. He's like, what do you have there? And he's like, it's like information, like these gadgets, like and so basically kind of the Perfect Man realizes his mistake, And so he's kind of like more open. He's open to share it with these people that he's like that are new to him. Because also he's listening to Romulus. He's like, oh, like Romulus seems like a good guy. He was about to defeat these like really bad people who would try to control the world. Um, and I mean, so yeah, Perfect Man kind of becomes a good guy, you know, because he was the bad guy in the beginning, but now he's kind of become a good guy. And Romulus is, Romulus is like, maybe they'll help us. But then when Recorp defeated the demons who had Prodigy's power, when they defeated them, it kind of sent like a shockwave like across the whole world. And so that helped, and then all of a sudden, so that happens, and then all of a sudden Romulus and Perfect Man and a bunch, like maybe a couple of other people, they're like, whoa, what's happening? And then like the tunnels start breaking and they're able to escape and get out onto land, but they're like really far away from like wherever Jack and them are. And then eventually they're like, oh, like we're safe. And they're like, man, I'm so glad that I met you. Like I'm glad we have connect. Like I'm glad I met you. Like and your friends, they just defeated the bad guys. And they're like, or no, they don't even know. Romulus doesn't know, but he's like, I don't really care like about them. Like they didn't, like I mean I hope they're okay, but I'm not really worried about them. Like nothing. It doesn't seem like the world hasn't ended, which is what the demons wanted. So he's like, I mean nothing bad's happened. And then so Romulus is like, I want to see like what is that, like what is in this box? And he's like, I never really could see, because that's the weird thing. It's kind of like what you see now is kind of just what Perfect Man saw. Like he didn't, until he saw light. Like this is what he was looking at for like maybe years. I mean, and I know you're probably wondering, how do they eat? Man, it's a long going question I've had with this story. I'm gonna figure something out. The only thing that would make sense for, I mean, at least for this situation, is that like it's some sort of time warp. So he's kind of just in space and he doesn't like in this like weird space like stop point, and he like doesn't desire to eat anything. I don't know. So anyways, Perfect Man and Romulus get out, and then Romulus is like, okay, let's see what's in this box of yours. And they're like, okay. And then Romulus is like, he's like, I don't really like care. I just want to know, like, I'm just curious. Like this, you just look so funny with this box. And so Perfect Man's like, okay, like let's see. And that's when Romulus is like, wait a minute, what is this? Is a map to a station. Oh, we can control the world and use it as a weapon. And Perfect Man's like, what do you mean no? I already learned my lesson. Like I failed to see like that using this technology, it would be the end of me. And it almost was.